We have so many different people here tonight, and I want to talk about that. I want to talk about bridging the gap between the Africans and African Americans.
Oh my God!
Wait,
hold on.
I want to work on bridging the gap between Africans and African Americans.
Oh my God!
You trying to start something?
I'm all about this.
I was
about the misconceptions that you have. Maybe if you have a misconception about us as Africans. Vice versa, what misconceptions you have about African Americans. Talk about how you, I don't know, just anything that has to do with it. Like, also us first, second generation, what we went through, you know.
Scratching booty.
The nicknames that we were called from other Black Americans, how it made us feel. You know, let's just talk about it.
Can I start with a poll? Like, who was born in Africa? Raise your hand.
Me too, right there.
Okay.
All right.
Who's the first generation?
All right.
And who is American born in America, raised in America?
Who?
I bet.
All right. But I'm second generation. So
I was
like-
born in I'm from Atlanta.
I'm from Atlanta too.
I was born in Atlanta.
African.
Are you a local?
I was raised by I'm from Atlanta. I
Listen,
got a blue
my parents
passport and
are
a social.
But see, I'm different.
First generation.
But see, I'm different.
Yeah, I'm
So
first
my mom is
generation.
from somewhere else.
Bring
So
it back.
I bet.
Let's
So
bring
we're
it
not
back.
American either.
Go ahead, bring it back.
So what's the first part of this conversation? Like, this is a very deep ass topic.
This is about to be. This gonna be a good one.
This is a deep conversation. I think it needs to be had. Like,
I mean,
Oh, okay.
you can start.
I got a way they can start. So it could just start off with somebody. You know how like people ask you that stupid ass question, like, "What are you? Like, where are you from?" Like, I'm from Atlanta, no, but where are you from?
you know what I think
Okay,
when you
ethnicity
ask that
wise.
question, I don't know what to even say sometimes.
I just
Like,
go with
no,
that.
no,
Because they were haters.
Because there was no
Because
knowledge.
they
Listen, I just want to
listen.
There was no knowledge of self back then.
I'm from Philly, right?
Speak it
At
to
the end of the day, and I had I have a friend. We started a project. We worked with one of P Square's wives, right? About bridging the gap between Africa and Black Americans specifically, right? We called it the Cashew Apple Project. The reason we called it that is because at that time, like, cashews are a crazy $1 billion industry, right? People don't know that, but like 50% of or like 60% of all cashews come from Africa. But I grew up thinking Africa was poor. I never was able to look at it as a continent because it's like, to imagine an entire continent that's big as fuck, and all I'm seeing as far as images is kids with flies. Fucking my grandma literally sponsored a
You know
kid.
what I blame it on?
The
The white American
That's
government.
fine. It don't matter
of
who you
course.
blame it on. The fact is that's the reality, and that's where I'm at right now. That's what I think is important. We need to stop trying to decide, okay, whose fault is it that we think like that? Like, we benefit so much from just interacting with each other.
Yep.
Y'all love our culture, and we didn't know about y'all culture, but now that we do, we like, yo, we feel connected to this shit. Hey, got my money, all that shit.
So let me bring up what you just said. Jay, you said it's the white people. Well, it's not. Well,
I ain't say white.
It's all.
Did I
Well,
say white?
I said white people, bro.
It's the
now
media.
I'm drinking.
Yeah.
But it's more so just the fact that
Fuck it,
nobody
let's stick with
really
what I
has been taught actual history.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in America.
Factual history.
You know what America wants you to know about the history, about who came here first, the savages and everything. But do we really know as Africans where we're, like, what we really do? Like, I still am trying to figure out
When I was
my
in
own
Let me say
country
this.
and just trying to
Connect.
grasp all of that. But the thing about it is because of Black Americans, and when we came here, they don't know anything, and we don't really know about them. We just see color. For us, Africans, we never knew, African Americans. We just saw, oh, they're black.
They're black.
We're black. So we're good. But then when we get the backlash of, you're an African booty scratcher, let's just say for this. For me, I was the only black girl in my class from the time I came here. So like from first grade all the way to fourth grade. Only black chick in all of my classes.
Yeah.
I started getting teased saying I was a white girl.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But
I
then
got
some
called
African,
Oreo, too.
you
I
got
got
right
called Oreo.
because
But,
I
was
but
worried.
wait a minute.
I'm
Wait a
sorry,
minute.
yeah.
We're
I was
talking
that
about.
weird
Hold
girl.
on. We're talking about two different things now, right? We talk. Well, not two different things. We putting colorism in it too, right? We putting a
We're
lot
not
of.
talking about color.
No. But that's part of it, though, right? Like for her to go through the experience and be called a white girl, knowing obviously she's black, Obviously, knowing she was born in Africa, right?
It's slightly different though. Colorism is more like about the shade of your. Colorism is racism or prejudice within your race.
No, but
what
that's-
she's talking about is more so people attributing talking properly and stuff to
No,
white
but that's-
characteristics.
but I
That's
think
not
that's
the same.
part of
That's not the
it.
same thing as colorism though.
I disagree. I think
did a whole class
I
on that.
disagree.
I think they meet at some point.
I think
but
they
they're
meet
not
at
the
this.
same.
No, I feel like they meet the same juncture.
Yeah.
They meet.
I
They're
mean,
in the
I
same
feel like
category.
they may be slightly
meet,
different,
they're
but they
not
meet
the
the
same
same
at all.
junction.
I just
Okay,
wanted to-
and this is the reason I say they meet the same junction. Like when we're talking about your original point about bridging the gap. To me, there's really the bridging the gap has been a thing since Africans left the shores of Africa to come here and plant across the Caribbean, Haiti, South America, Central America, regular America. The thing is, as we evolve and we start to get the education, there's so many of our ancestors, whether we think we don't have those answers, right? Africans don't understand, you know, all the answers that we're here in this country, when you see people's faces and you see their structure, you're like, oh, that's why you get the question of, oh, where you from?
See,
There's a, no, but wait a minute. There's
Go
a
ahead, go
reason
ahead, go
for
ahead.
that.
Yeah.
You get a reason why somebody, where are you from? Because us Africans can identify and say, bro, it's
God.
more to you than this American thing you talking about.
I agree.
Just by looking at you.
But
Right.
You understand?
I know that.
So-
I
so-
know that. I be like, you got some Ghanaian
know
It's
that
energy.
you
more.
from
Atlanta,
And so what
but
I'm
you
saying is,
definitely-
the more we communicate, we understand
that a
that,
lot.
okay, you Panamanian, but you Panamanian, but that culture, we don't, and the other
I
thing,
don't know shit about it.
no, but this is the part of it. A lot of them do. See, America works different functionally, understanding the African American paradigm. But you have to remember, in the Caribbean and Latin America, they got to hold on to a lot of their culture still.
No, but listen.
Right.
You
They
understand?
choose not to
So
consider themselves black.
they had
choose
to.
that.
They got even in Cuba.
I understand.
When you talking about Yoruba people in Nigeria, they have what they call Lukomi people. Their name is Lukomi, and they're in Cuba. They still speak Yoruba and never set foot in Nigeria
Wow.
in 400, 500, 600 years.
This is what
Same
happened
thing
to
with
the-
people. No,
Like,
same thing
like
with,
how
wait a
Dominicans
minute.
say, I'm not black.
Exactly.
Right.
It's the
Exactly.
same thing.
Puerto Rican.
Wait a minute, but it's the same
I be
thing in
like,
Brazil.
Yes,
There's
no,
a community in Brazil
Okay.
that is the second largest Yoruba community outside of the world. How the fuck they get there? It ain't like we went to Europe and went to, no. That was slavery that brought them to Brazil. So now we're getting to a point where we're like, okay, we're talking, like she said. We're communicating.
Yeah. we
This
need
shit
to.
is not, it's what you want to know about your culture.
Listen, what I'm trying to tell you is, it's not like, imagine being ignorant. Imagine being ignorant and at some point in your life realizing you were ignorant. So black people, we called y'all African booty scratchers. We ain't know. Like, we're just saying shit. We sound like dumbasses. But now we're at a point where we're like, shit, I want to know about that shit. So we have to kind of put our pride to the side and be like, teach me.
That's a lack
Okay.
of.
I'll tell you this.
I don't
Let me
know.
get
She was up, she was up.
Let me say this real quick. So people like you, I love.
Yeah.
I'm
And
like,
we
let
love
me
y'all
show
back.
you how to tie like gele. Like, come on, let me show you our
And we
foods.
love y'all back. We love you for not judging us.
but, and then I have those. Y'all don't even like us. Why y'all like? We don't mess with y'all. Africans think they better than us.
That's
Da, 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 da.
Listen,
And that be
that's
the
kizzy. That's cat.
that be like,
That's
bitch,
cat.
you're the one
That's-
who don't like us. Like you,
No.
it's like
It's
nah.
not.
Every
There's
African
no
I know,
division, though.
they act like that. Is the
Listen.
one thing that pisses me off about some, cause I don't even care about that. I don't like African American, whatever. Like. The thing that pisses me off is the I ain't black, girl. I'm from Atlanta. I'm not black. Not black. I'm not African. Cause they'll be like, cause it's when you, it comes when you call them an African American, and they say I'm not no African American. I'm just American. I'm just black. I'm from Atlanta. I ain't from no
histories are
Africa.
different.
Y'all think y'all don't even like
It is.
us? That shit pisses me the fuck off.
That shit's so lame.
Yo,
It's a
listen.
lot of me.
It's
But there's some people
on him. It's
also.
on him.
It's on him. It is.
No,
Go
right
back
here,
to
right
you.
here, right here.
I'm about to take a sip real quick before I say the shit.
Go ahead, go
Okay,
ahead,
okay.
go ahead, beautiful.
You only got a sip. You only
Listen,
got a sip.
listen, I'm good, okay?
Can we
Listen.
put this
So,
somewhere?
let me tell you guys a story, okay? So, with me coming here in 2003, all right? It was a whole lot of shit, okay? I have an accent, okay? It is deep as fuck, okay? Now,
It's a people.
first story, okay? So I went to elementary school here, okay? I got bullied not by the white people,
At all.
but by the
Never.
black.
It's never the white people.
And
It's not that it's never.
it was
Well, it's
because
very. They just consider us all the same.
But white folks
A
are
white-
scared to bully black
A
folks.
white person will see you. They don't care if you're Puerto Rican. They don't care if you're Nigerian. You're a nigga.
Let him finish his comment.
Mike.
I'm still flying. Let me land. Okay? That's
Oh, yeah, land
I like that. I like that.
like I said, it was not the white people. It was the black ones. And personally, I felt hurt by them because I try to explain to them and actually tell them, listen, you are from Africa, whether you like it or not. Okay? Your forefathers, they were taken from Africa. Understand that. Fuck the shit that you see on TV. Because that is what the white man wants you to see. I got bullied, and I will never forget the day that I got jumped.
Oh, they jumped you, my dude. I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm sorry. I'm
And
sorry.
not-
I want to
Hug it out.
And not by listen,
I am really sorry.
Let them talk. Let them finish. Let them finish.
Hey, let him land
and
that
not
plane.
by the white folks,
Of course.
but
Of course.
my kind.
Yeah.
I was hurt by that. You know? I remember getting jumped while I was in the bus. I remember getting my iPod taken while I was in the bus by a black man. Sorry, black kid. You know, just because he was big and you know me, I was tiny. But hey, I have accent. Okay, I'm from Africa. I want every black person watching this right now, whether you are from Brazil, the U.S., wherever, you are black. You are a descendant of Africa. Point blank.
Let me speak on this. Yes.
Even white.
Yes.
Right.
Even if the white
Hold on,
people.
hold on. Let me speak on this from.
Hold on. Second. Hold on.
Let me hear.
I just want every black person watching this right now to know that I love you.
You do.
We love
And
you.
it is from the bottom
Love all
of my
y'all.
heart.
Yeah.
Okay? We can make Africa overtake the entire fucking
Are you kidding?
world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's happening right now, though.
It is though.
But we need love though.
No, wait, let my man go. Let my man.
Okay, now let him go. Let John
No,
go.
no, no,
Let
no,
John
it's
go.
my man. It's my man. Go ahead, go ahead.
I'm gonna give you guys a different, perspective on a second generation American, African American, right? My family, my grandmother came here from Cape Verde, small islands off the west coast of Africa, for those who don't know, okay? She literally worked her ass off to move all her family here. Now, I grew up in that fine line between being accepted by African Americans and Africans. So I didn't never experience what you experienced. But I always felt the love for Africans. My love is still, my culture, everything I just, like, especially like growing up into, just like expanding into who I am now. You see what I'm saying? I definitely see the inspiration from Africa and Jamaica. My father's from Jamaica. So like my life literally, my life revolves around music, art, style. It all originates from Africa. And the thing is, like, thinking retrospectively into your situation and like what happened to you and just like trying to put myself into that bully shoes. Cause I used to be a bully, but not like on no serious shit, like just like, what I'm saying, just, but like
Not
thinking
serious.
back,
I forgive you, bro.
yeah,
I forgive you, bro.
I
She
appreciate
just
it.
took
But
half of my lunch.
thinking thinking retrospectively, that bullying, that, what I'm saying, like everybody knows now, being older, it comes from those insecurities and not understanding like what it means. You know what I'm saying? Like it's projecting what you want onto that other person.
Yeah.
And what they probably wanted was to be like you, yo.
Telling you. But
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
the thing.
Africa is it.
Listen. There's
Jay,
something.
TJ, TJ.
Do you know how painful it is?
Wait,
not
wait,
looking
wait,
at
wait,
something?
wait.
TJ been waiting for a while.
TJ,
Go ahead,
TJ,
TJ.
TJ.
So what I wanted to also add on to what this gentleman just said, I've gone through similar experience. maybe not beat up to a pulp. Right?
I was.
But at the same time, I think on both sides, to just kind of give some suggestions to those who might be watching, have patience when you're relating to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Have respect when you're speaking, because you made a mention that you liked the way she said what she said about like, oh, her experience, and now she wants to know more about Africa. I think sometimes when we're relating in real life, we need to be patient with each other and know that there's a way that we speak, that Africans speak, that West Africans speak, Ghanaian, Nigerians, because we're majority here, right? And there's sometimes a way that we say some words that could be triggering on both sides. And so me being here for how many years, I think I've seen both sides, and I can understand where the miscommunications can come from. I've been here 23 years, so for me it's like, okay, I get it.
I see where you're
Yes, see, but at the same time, I just want to encourage those who are out there, if you're just coming here, this is your first year here, you've been here 5 years, however many years, it's going to take time. It's not going to be the first time that I meet you, I'm going to be like, oh, hey, girl, you want to know about Africa? No, it's going to take,
I'm not African welcoming committee.
Right, exactly. You're not
I'm saying when somebody tells me they're interested, that's when I never say, hey,
tell me.
Oh,
I have cars in Africa. People don't know shit. Assume we don't know anything.
And that's the thing. You have to be patient. You have to be patient.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, you so ahead about that.
Hold on, listen.
I didn't know that there was like this beef. I'm not gonna say beef, but between African and Black African Americans, because when I was growing up, it didn't matter if you was what color. It was just about color. Like I got called African blue scratcher, and I'm not from Africa. They used to pick on me, call me Barney, all that. And I didn't really know it was a problem until I met Sarat, and I didn't until she told me she was African. I never knew it was a problem. I just thought we was all black.
But see, here's the thing though. You never knew I was African for two reasons. One, my father's Nigerian. My mother is Caribbean. And I got, custody battle, whatever, and I landed in America, my mom in Atlanta. So I grew up, I looked like I was African American. Nobody ever questioned it. It was like I was passing. And then I bring my lunch to school, and what the fuck is that? Like, y'all smell that shit? Look at her food. And I'm just like, what's wrong? I'm like, this shit hitting. Like, y'all don't know about county. Y'all don't know about
Let me say this.
What you know, my nigga? Hold on. Let me say this. Let me finish. So that I would have that experience. So I kind of like went back into my shell, like, cause then I started getting called the African booty scratcher. Then it was bad. So then it was like because it was known, and then it would kind of like subside, and then we'd have graduation, and my daddy showed, my baby, Meriamo, that's my daughter, and I'm like,
Naija.
I'm just like, they like, that's, oh my God, that's your daddy. What does your dad have on a dress? Like that's what I got.
But wait, let me kick
secondhand.
it to you like this though.
She hasn't spoken yet. Let her.
Who?
She hasn't.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I really want to piggyback off of that because truthfully, when I was growing up, I don't know about you guys. Like I used to be like embarrassed about being Nigerian, like being.
And that's the point I was getting to.
Like I remember like specifically.
But you were born here.
Like even like
I went to Ghana and came back.
I remember like when my grandmother would come here from Nigeria to come live with us for some time, and we would go to the mall.
Yes.
And I would literally like walk probably like ahead of her.
Or ahead or behind.
Because she would dress up in her African clothes.
Been there.
And I would be, I don't even know
I've been there.
African because it was so embarrassing.
But see,
you get what I'm saying?
Okay, so I do want to, like, I was getting there, which is why I was trying to finish it. But I'm saying, like, because of that, like, that was around, like, middle school and stuff. Like, high school, like, nobody knew I was Nigerian.
Yeah.
Nobody knew at all. Like, now here's the thing. So my original last name was Rufai. My father moved here and changed his name because he said he didn't want to get treated differently or have less access to jobs because he was African, because Africans were getting discriminated against. Huh?
Rufai. Is that an African Muslim name?
Yes, and we're Yoruba. So so my father changed his name and all his children's last name to Thompson.
Wow.
Thompson.
Wow.
The most. So yeah, like okay. So yes. Omadala is my brother, and his last name is Thompson as well. His first. Well, I'm not gonna say his first name, but yes, all of our last name is Thompson. So I'm saying I blended in very well as long as I didn't speak on it. And for a while, I was embarrassed of it because I played sports and I did recitals and I had all types of things. I didn't want to invite my family until I just like I started getting closer when I was graduating high school. I started getting closer with my African side of my family because I have a lot of siblings, different mother now, but I started getting closer with them, and I started realizing they just they're regular people. Like they're cool as hell. Like okay, my dad's corny, but maybe he's just corny because he's my dad. Because
He's Nigerian.
Well, he's a nice. My dad is like the happy foreigner, fresh out the boat. That's my daddy. That's my daddy. So I thought he was corny, but I started hanging out with my brother and his real friends and seeing like smoking weed and I was like, hey, we cool, we lit. So then I started educating my friend. Then it slowly started coming out like, girl, the Africans did my hair. They pulled my edges. I'm like, first of all, you talking about Africans? Where are they from? You don't even know where they're from.
But listen,
like,
we don't
you
know
just generalize.
that.
I'm saying
We don't know that.
What
You
I'm
have to
saying
look
is
at
I'm
us like
slowly.
babies.
So this is my
I did
friend.
not know Africa was 54 countries. Like when I put that into perspective of my African American mind, I'm like,
Learn something, this.
that's 54 motherfucking.
Yeah.
That's
I-
more
that's what
than
I'm
I have a question.
America.
One
Like-
country.
Hold on, wait.
Four?
Before she goes, she been waiting.
Yeah, she is.
Please.
Okay, so I have a different perspective because I'm not 100% American, but both my parents were born in America. I was born in America, so I'm an American child.
Okay.
I grew up going to private school with all white people. So I had an identity crisis where, and I don't know how many Americans go through this, but I wanted to know where I was from. And that's one thing that it's gonna make me a little emotional.
It's okay, girl.
We are here for you, girl. Yes. Feel it. We are here for you. All right. Don't do that. We here for you. Viral.
Because it's a real thing.
Let it out, sister. I'm
These
sorry.
This is beautiful.
Let it out.
Teach them.
One mic.
Where you from? Okay.
Ohio.
One mic.
I grew up in Ohio, yeah,
Okay,
so
cool.
close to PA.
Yeah, I know what's up.
But it was a real identity crisis for me because to live in a country and just to be called Black or African American, and it's not that I have a problem being called African American, but I've never been there. I don't know how to identify. I don't know where my people are from. So I'm seeing these white kids say, "Oh, I'm from Italy. My family's Greek," and just saying I'm African.
Yeah.
That's not a country. That's a whole continent of
Right.
people. So
That's a good point.
it was painful for me for a long period of time of not feeling like I really knew who I was or belonged, especially being in a white school. So probably when I started going to public school and I got around more black kids, and it was a great thing because my mom put me in an African dance class called Harambe. So they taught us African culture and African American culture. So I'm learning different things like Kwanzaa and the 7 principles, and Nguzo Saba, and most of the culture around it. I believe it was South African because we had boot dancers and things like that. So I'm learning all these different dances and things. I'm feeling like I'm becoming closer to the culture. Right. So by the time I'm going to college and I'm meeting Africans, that's who I want to hang out with. Because I'm like, well, no, these are my people. This is closer to me understanding who I am.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was my experience.
Hold on, y'all.
Anita,
Go ahead, bro.
Go ahead.
Just
Anita.
based off that,
Go.
so when you got into college, when you approached Africans with everything that you learned here, how was that? Because I feel like sometimes when non-Africans would come to me with that, it was offensive because it was like, why do you assume I know this stuff? 'Cause they don't teach us that back. They don't teach us that back home.
You know what? My experience, honestly, it was kind of more comfortable because I started dating an African guy. He was Liberian.
Okay.
So I So I mean, I had African friends, but I didn't necessarily know. I have African cousins. I have cousins that are Yoruba, and then my uncle married a South African woman. So I had seen it a little bit, but I wasn't really eating the food except when I went.
I got a question.
Yes.
Did he like to play soccer?
He want to know if he took.
That your boyfriend that was Roger. I know him. Right. In real life, I do.
Every African is striker.
Hey, they all played soccer. I'm not gonna lie.
No.
They all play soccer.
Yo.
That's not where that story happened.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Listen, for all the Black Americans watching right now, are you ready to come to Africa?
Yes.
Are you sure?
No, wait. My guy has a boat.
I've been to Africa.
How was it?
After her.
Okay, my friend is
After her.
in Africa. My first time in Africa. I'm from Philly. Like I'm from Philly. I was born and raised in Philly. I rap like I'm Meek Mill. Like I'm from Philly.
How was it?
Crazy.
Great
Listen,
question.
I didn't even know
Great
I
question.
liked ass like that. You see what I'm saying? Black people, you guys can't start from the beginning and then get us to go to where we are now. We have to go backwards. We need to know that, like, the fact that I can go to Nigeria and have fun. And just like be with my niggas at the club.
But you said something important.
Nigeria.
She said they gotta be willing to go backwards.
Like that, I need to know that
and Africans gotta be willing to move forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ghana's open.
That's where you meet intersectionality.
I'm coming.
Giving away land.
Ghana's open.
That's what you
That
need.
is what made me want to get it.
We want your back.
No, my man.
We want y'all to let us back. Shit.
Oh, it's open.
You see what's going on for us right
No,
here. This shit
my man said he wanna go. My man right
Yeah,
here.
let's hear it.
My man
That
said.
shit is for real.
Let's hear it, baby.
Right,
Come
bro.
on.
I feel like there's a lot of like African American people that like they hear that they should always go back and stuff like that, but based on like the things that we talked about before, as in like the narrative that the white man painted about Africa, they have these ideas that it's not gonna give them the same type of living, and obviously it's gonna be different. We all know it's gonna be different.
Of course.
Like there's gonna be cultural differences and like
It'll be
differences.
real neat.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
But
for
like,
sure.
but I feel like when I really wanted to go and see where I'm actually from, it came after I took an African American Studies class.
It is.
Okay.
It's when I actually started like learning about like the legitimate history of like where I'm from and how or my family got here. And then I was like, oh, so I'm missing out on all of this history that obviously, if you know about the miseducation of the Negro, wasn't taught to me.
Yeah.
And I think that I think a great start for like African Americans is taking an African American Studies class because then that'll get you like a good like preface on like what you are missing out on, and maybe not what to expect, but at least it gives you a little bit of like, oh, I'm not fully like aware of like who I am.
Yeah. See, I want to speak on this.
She had her hands up first.
Yes.
Okay, so first, where are you from exactly? With a name like Raph Miller?
Ethiopia.
Where are you from? You're Ethiopian.
No, I just assumed it.
No.
You can pass a Somali or Ethiopian.
I
or
get
Eritrean.
I get that all the time. So my dad's side is from Barbados, right?
I see it.
Okay, but like far removed. So let me, far removed.
We still,
we're still there. Okay, but my mom, she's African American, as in like she doesn't know where she's from. So she took one of the DNA tests, and Nigerian, Cameroon, and so there was no East African.
Wow.
But you gotta understand, because I'm also like African American, there's a lot of like rape that is into that as well by masters. So like I have other things in my blood that I don't really care to like get into, because at the end of the day I don't get treated like a white person.
So now back to the reason why I asked you this is because, okay, so I didn't know, because again it goes back to the fact of what I was saying before, is that most of us don't know anything because we were never taught anything. In high school, we're taught about how Christopher Columbus, Pocahontas, and everything.
All lies. All cap. All cap. That's 2021. All that's cap.
You still gotta do the research for yourself.
I never knew.
Nobody
And
gonna
I'm
teach you.
sitting here, I'm just like, what? They have what? What kind of classes?
African American
what?
Studies.
African American Studies.
I
Yes.
never known that they could do that,
that?
because at the end of the day, just the same thing. Like I was like, just backtrack, but bring it back. Is the whole thing is they're teaching us certain things in high school, like while our brain is like still trying to hold a lot of things.
Covering the story up.
It's So we know. I know who Christopher Columbus is somewhat.
And
Let me
2041.
say this.
Now,
Let me
In
say this.
2041,
Right
the story
now?
about this.
Can I say this, right? Like when I hear everybody talking, we're really talking about intersectionality, right? At what point do we meet each other and we say, oh, we're the same? Right?
Wakanda.
At what point?
Wakanda.
No. Beyond right, though. Wait a minute. Hear what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying. At what point do we come together and we say we're the same? I had a conversation yesterday where me and her, we haven't seen each other in what? 11, 12, 13 years.
Wow.
No.
Did we go to school together?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes,
GPC.
Cause I'm like, wait.
Right. So this is what this is the
I'm
story.
only 21.
This is the story I'm gonna tell y'all, right? Because I have so much of a story of it, right? So we met each other about maybe 12 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
This was at a time when we're all talking about how we're growing up African, realizing that Africa is not just Africa. The same teaching we get from Caribbean parents, that we get from Hispanic parents, the originality of that thought and that discipline and that is African in nature. You know, no matter where you're from.
You're right.
Right? Because when I grew up, my grandfather, when he came to the country, he was confused about domestic farming. About how people, you kill chicken, you go out and buy chicken and buy goat at the grocery store.
Exactly.
And you looking like, the fuck is this? So my grandfather was like, nah, he didn't eat that. My grandfather was an imam. Okay? My grandfather was an imam, which is a Muslim
Leader, pretty much.
priest leader, you know, whatever, of the masjid or the mosque, right? With them, they believe in killing animals a certain way.
Right.
You kill the animal, you pray on it,
Not halal.
drain the blood,
Yeah.
halal, you understand?
That's beautiful.
You cut it, you kill it, you put God's name on it. The spirituality, this is a spirituality that it's in Bible, it's in Quran, it's in anything you look at.
You're right.
Sacrificing.
You're right, brother.
So this all comes from where we are. Praying over food comes from where we are. You understand? So there's so much intersectionality behind what we believe. When we first came to this country, even when you're talking about religion, when you first come here, you didn't understand that Christianity had already been around in Africa.
Right.
Post white people.
Yo, hold on.
Okay? Wait a minute.
It's true.
I'm gonna let you
No,
finish.
no, wait a
Hold
minute.
on.
Before white
Speak
people,
on it.
no, before white people.
Speak on it.
When you're talking about Islam, you dig what I'm saying? These things, when they took slaves, there was Muslim slaves. There were Christian slaves. There were people from certain cultural backgrounds that had empires in that country. So when my grandfather came and he said, let's go to the farm. I'm not gonna kill any. We go kill goat, we go kill cow at the farm. This would be in South Georgia where they ain't like niggas no way.
Exactly.
Hear me? But my grandfather wasn't afraid. He just like, because just like she said earlier, her grandmother would go to the mall with her African native. You know what that symbolizes? You're not scared of who the fuck you are.
Power, bro. Power.
That's the wisdom that comes with the shame of saying, "Oh, I don't know if I'm African." No, they know who they are. When they come here, it don't change.
That's so dope.
They go and listen to Sunny Ade. They listen to Ebenezer. They listen to
African American.
no Kuti. They listen to Fela Kuti. No. So what I'm saying is this, and I'm gonna let you get it, bro.
Please, that's so fucking cool.
So what I'm saying is this.
I'll throw to you, bro.
We all come to a point where we identify with certain things. When I went to that farm and saw my family getting the cow, running after the shit, killing the fucking cow,
That's what's up.
opening up the shit, preparing the pieces,
Clean that shit
preparing
up.
pomo, cow skin, preparing shaki, preparing meat, separating the meat.
Was it a goosey?
No, but hear what I'm saying. Preparing the meat. This family get this much meat. This how much meat you get. You dividing it. You put it in the freezer, deep freezer.
That's so true.
Now I remember going back. I lived in Latonia at the time.
Latonia,
Okay,
that's where I'm
mind you,
from.
we black.
Yeah.
I'm an African.
Black suburbs.
I'm a Nigerian living in Latonia.
That's black
Redan,
suburbs.
Panola Way Elementary
I went to
School.
Clarksville.
Okay.
I went to Clarksville.
So check me. They fixing my dad's trying to cut up the meat in the garage.
Yeah.
Always.
In the middle of a fucking neighborhood.
We think this with
You hear me?
We don't care.
So they don't care.
We don't care.
So in my mind, it's meat. No wait. But so in my mind, I was so embarrassed because there would be flies. You know, you got blood, you spray.
yes,
There would be flies. You cutting up meat. You doing whatever. But you know what I realized? That's not just us.
No.
This life we live
That's
in,
it.
Yeah.
they're gonna learn how to eat, B.
Yeah.
What about
They're
those?
gonna learn. It's not that this. I depend on the no.
White people
There's certain skills. No, but even in that neighborhood, I done had a bit. Everybody knew me as the African dude in the neighborhood because of that shit. You hear me?
African.
No, they knew.
Be proud of it, bro.
My grandfather, I had hens in the 5 a.m. No motherfucker. In the in America, in the backyard, in the suburbs of Latonia. Back then,
I would hear that a lot.
I didn't think, oh, this shit ghetto as fuck. But listen, no, but what it taught me was, we're not as different as we think we are. The moment we start to talk, the moment we start to converse, the moment we start to talk about food, the moment we start to talk about drums, music, art, dancing, you like, you talk to this Cuban guy, you talking about salsa. Salsa ain't Spanish. Salsa's African.
All of it. All of it.
All of it. All of it.
Wait, isn't in Ghana? Don't they dance to salsa?
No,
but
salsa. No, but that's what I'm saying.
It's the
It's
similarity
the
in it all.
intersectionality. When people took their culture to where they were, it's not like American culture where there was so much where you had to control that slave. They were still able to keep some of their languages, some of their music, some of their foods. So when you talk about okra soup, okra soup is from the motherland. But here you come here and you come to Louisiana and what do you find? Gumbo. With shrimp. Dry shrimp. You understand? Oh, hey. We talk promo. When you say promo, cow skin. I didn't know you did chicharrones.
My brother.
You understand me?
Right.
Let me
Black
say real
people
quick.
eating cornbread, breaking it up in the
gotta get in here
greens.
Right.
You understand? Even when you talk about Haitians, I talk to Haitians and say, oh no, we eat fufu too. I say, you gotta eat fufu.
They're Africans.
No, but what I'm telling you is the more we speak to one another, the more we talk, the more we understand.
Yes, that's it.
It ain't about trying to change where you. It was important for me to grow up here.
Of course.
Very important.
Very, very.
Because it gave me two different perspectives. It gave me many different perspectives. Me growing up here as an African, as Yoruba American, as Muslim American, as Black American. You understand what I'm saying? And a predominantly black and then moving to a predominantly white area. Where it was nothing but white people in Loganville back then. Black people in Loganville now. But back then, when I tell you Confederate flag was every fucking where, like you talking about North Georgia and South, everywhere.
I have a serious question. So to the people that are African or first generation, and this might be deep, but this is where I've always had the misconception. How do y'all feel about the word nigger and racism as a whole and slavery as a whole? Because that's something that's very deeply rooted into African Americans. So, and we always thought y'all was like on our side, like the same way.
Oh no,
But I realized they all like,
Cause did you?
that shit fucked
No,
up.
I just want to say
yeah,
a little quick.
I know, I understand, but y'all just let me get something in. Y'all done had like a
Say,
million
say,
words.
Go ahead.
So, I will say, nigger is a word that
I still slap
He
you.
are.
That's strong. He are. That shit cut. I'm mad.
it's a word that will attract like it'll probably bring some aggressiveness out of me. But at the same time, I like sometimes when that white folks be saying nigga, Spanish folks be saying nigga, Indian, everybody Asian. They all say it. And I really want to talk about the Asian perspective because we have a Blasian girl in the building. We ain't saying nothing about it. But I feel like I stopped giving people power because I have friends that have been banned from Walmart because they beat people's asses because of a parking spot. Some lady got mad and was like, "You nigger." You deserve to get your ass beat,
And I'm beating
You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck.
And
I support that.
when I see it online, oh you nigga this, you nigga that, I don't give you no attention because
online we were talking about social media the other day. Online people are trolls.
They're trolls.
Like they're usually kids, or if they not, they the motherfuckers that's not even gonna speak. That's gonna be all shy and timid, and they know goddamn well they would never, they could never, whatever.
T, what you gonna say?
Oh, y'all.
No, she didn't
it
speak the
was
whole
my
time.
turn. Let's
Hold on, wait, stop.
my turn.
No, stop.
My turn.
You got no. You ain't spoke the whole
What was
time.
the original
original question? What was the
I
original
just want to know
question?
because
We're talking about
I know-
intersectionality.
From my experience, I've noticed there's a difference between how African Americans, born African American, and Africans or first generation Africans think about racism and the word nigga, like how they're affected by
Pride.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
okay, I'm first generation American. My parents are both from different places. My mom is Asian, my dad's from the Caribbean. People in the Caribbean are really deprived of their history and like where they come from in Africa as well. Like white colonialism was so successful that you can go to the DR right now and people will tell you like I'm not black. There's no way that I came from Africa, which is crazy because there's a huge statistic of people that have direct bloodlines from Africa. And like the colonialism was so successful that they just literally don't even believe, like they can't conceptualize, and it's a deprivation and it's unfortunate, but it's like, how can you convince somebody that's like their entire history, like their entire family line has taught them that
It's a lie.
yeah, like they don't have no direct line to that, so it's like it's very difficult and unfortunate to try to convince like people that you know have a direct line, bloodline, and like connection to Africa that are just literally deprived and like erased of that entire like
You want to know the
conception.
reason why for that though? It's because of the negative stigma that Africa has.
It's deeper than that.
It's
No, I agree with you, but it's
deeper.
deeper than that
It's
because
deeper.
you can go to the Caribbean and like there's literally like there's like the architecture, the museums, like everything that's you know, damn, what's the word I'm looking for? Like they hype up this idea that
You wanna
Christopher
have it.
Columbus is the savior and
Oh,
the
yeah.
Europeans are the savior. Like they successfully wiped out all of the indigenous people the same way that they did in America. Like Native Americans, like there's a very small community of people that are still like trying to exist. It's the same way in the Caribbean. Like
Absolutely.
there's indigenous people that don't fucking exist anymore. So like there comes a stopping point where like you can only track your history but so far.
This sister wants to speak right here.
Black Americans are
This
stopping
sister
slavery.
wanted to speak right here.
Let's hear it. Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to know what is first generation. Like I'm lost.
First generation?
First generation means basically my father
Mhm.
came to the States and I was born here. So I'm the first person to be born in the States and
Whereas-
live within that blood.
Whereas second generation, my parents were the first ones born here, so I'm after them.
And his kids will be third, and their kids will be
But
fourth.
it's like crazy to think that okay, we're in 2021 and there's still first generation people that exist in America. Like it's crazy to conceptualize because we all have so many like diverse bloodlines from different places,
See,
and somehow it all connects back to Africa. Just going back to the original
motherland.
subject.
The motherland.
But the fact that I'm 27 years old and I'm first generation is like wow.
It's wild.
That is wild.
But guess what? There was first generation 400, 500, 600
Yeah,
years
it's
ago.
always gonna
So
be.
let me pick this point, right? You have to understand when we talk about the reason why I honestly believe there's a kind of a gap between Africans and African Americans because we don't want to understand or educate ourselves onto each other's struggles.
Right.
You understand?
You have to
If
understand,
you're
but I
able
appreciate
to understand what's created, and that's what Malcolm X was about.
Yo, hold on.
Malcolm X.
Okay,
Let
you
me-
go
let-
on, please finish.
and let me break
Let me
this
get it out
down.
to you.
Let me break this down.
Yeah, go
Malcolm
ahead.
X was one of the first people before Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, and other people. But before that, there was people that was really trying to teach about black nationalism, right?
Let me take it.
Marcus Garvey was one of the people that was about Pan-Africanism.
take it.
Okay,
Africa, leave
so
America
he was
alone.
one of the first people to teach about your origin, where you come from. Because you have to remember the American Negro, the American black, or whatever they called him at the time. Okay,
It's a byword.
I'm sorry.
no. But what?
Who was this person?
No, Marcus Garvey.
Garvey.
Okay, so he was Jamaican. Okay, right? He was an immigrant from Jamaica, but we know he was a slave in Jamaica. He talked about him being a slave, his parents being a slave, cropping, because that's what our function was here in the Western Hemisphere, right? That's what all of our function was to create a system, and that's around the world. British Empire, French Empire, Belgium, whatever. We built whatever luxury you see now that you admire. All of that. Hold on, wait a minute.
We built the whole world.
No, let me keep it real. All of that
Basically.
was our building. So what I'm saying is this,
Everything.
right?
Everything.
What I'm saying is that because we don't know each other's history. When you talk about Black Americans, when you don't think that, okay, that language matters, it matters. Being able to hold on to your language matters. Being able to hold on to your name matters. Being able to hold on to where you're from matters. So that being stripped in America, you understand? And oppressing the people, violating the people, stripping the people, being violent towards the people, where you are cattle, less than cattle. You understand? So when you talking about that, what person wouldn't want to be light skinned?
Let me take it.
What person wouldn't want to pass? No, hold on. Hear me. Wait a minute. I'm about to bring up that intersectionality here. So when you talking about pain of a people, you have to understand what they've experienced, the trauma they experienced, to give them to the thinking that they are today.
Yes.
The thinking that we are and the place that we are has everything to do with how we were viewed by a dominant force across the world. So Black Americans see themselves as an independent struggle within the states because their struggle was different.
And they're not
No. It's not even that they don't understand, but I think
outside of America.
It's not that they don't understand. Part of the problem with Africans is not understanding how you couldn't try to hold on to something that's you. Like she talked about when she talked about her grandmother going in the mall and wearing what she was wearing.
She proud.
You understand? That's a pride thing. They don't understand how Black Americans couldn't keep that pride because that pride was broken. It was stripped. It would beat the hell out of you.
Look at us now. It don't understand
but
how
I don't
you
agree with the way Black people think now.
Everybody got an uncovered skirt in their closet.
Guys, hold up.
Everybody got an uncovered skirt in their closet.
My man was up. My bad. I spoke too long. My man's up. My man's up.
1, 2, 3.
My man was up. My bad. And you ain't spoke neither.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
1, 2, 3.
You after my man. You after my man because you ain't spoke.
We keep saying that, but then we don't go by it.
Go ahead.
Let me take it.
Because I was supposed to be after you.
We are speaking on the identity crisis. Our topics are going everywhere, and I'm gonna try my best to just bring it under the one umbrella. So I want to take you guys, and for those who are watching, I encourage you, and everybody in this room, I still encourage you to please watch a late doctor. He was self-educated doctor. He never went to school, but somehow this Black man in America still became a doctor. You understand me? Amos, A-M-O-S-N Wilson. Okay, you can find him on YouTube. Okay, Amos N. Wilson. He written 20 different books about Black identity, the Black identity crisis in America, and everything we're talking about relates to this one thing. He was saying the oppressed, which is the Black Americans, are doing the oppressors' deeds because they are so confused in their identity of where they come from. You understand? So Black African Americans are so confused, like you were saying, are so confused on where they come from. Me being second generation American, I know my history. I'm so fortunate because I know my mother, all her people. We come from Cape Verde, Cabo Verde. My father, we come from Jamaica. I know my history. But the Black people in America, they don't know the history.
But
you see what I'm saying?
But I just want to slip one thing in because it is related to this because I know y'all have an order. But one thing, I didn't mean it to be like that. It's Sarai. It is Sarai. But my point is, one thing that my grandmother said, one of my sisters was having a baby, and we're thinking about baby names. And she was like, oh, I'm gonna name him Aiden or Braden or Jaden. My grandma was like, what is wrong with you? Like, where is this child's culture? Like, we don't do that. Like, and he was like, well, I just don't want it to be too hard to pronounce because I got picked on when I was in school. And my grandma was like, that doesn't matter. My grandma said they can learn how to pronounce Schwarzenegger. They can learn how to pronounce Kardashian. They can take the time to learn can pronounce Mediamo,
Listen, for everyone,
Ibrahim. They can they can do all that.
For everyone in this room. For everyone in this room.
That like it's okay. It's okay. Like we have it's the second generation, the third generation. Like the thing is, your second generation, you still know because your parents took the time out to make sure that you knew. It's your job to make sure you take the time out to make sure your children know. And that's the thing. The difference with Black Americans, and I understand why they're angry, is because it was beaten out of you. Like it was, if I even hear this shit, I'm gonna kill you in front of everybody. That's the reason they did it publicly, was to scare everybody. And it was like, I love this baby so much. I can't imagine that happening to them. You don't have to know that we're from Nigeria. You don't have to know that your daddy's from Ghana. You don't have to know that this is from that.
How jealous
Like,
we are of y'all that y'all have.
No, but
that's
trauma.
it's our responsibility.
Wait.
It's our responsibility.
I'm sorry.
We're in order, guys.
I don't know what order I'm gonna go into it because it was like it wasn't a question. It was more so of a. It tagged on to all of you guys. Yeah. It's when someone was just like, okay, how can I bring this back? Of how we just don't know each other's nationality. It's embarrassing to say. I'm so sorry. It's not embarrassing to say. Did you guys know? Because I just found out, I would say like maybe about 3-4 years ago, that when it really comes to knowing ourselves, as far as it goes back, you know about the ancient times when they're building pyramids and everything. Mm-hmm. Did you know like the tombs and everything? Yeah. Like their noses are, you no longer see their noses.
They broke them off.
For the simple fact that our noses are so distinctive.
We're not
that they
confused
had
about
to
our
cut
building.
that off for
Yo,
us to
can I
not
pause
know
you right
our
there?
own
I'm
building.
sorry. I'm gonna give you back the mic.
Bring it back.
I'm gonna really
I'm gonna
give you
let
back
you
the mic.
Right.
But there is history that Africans were the first ones to America with the Native Americans before Christopher Columbus.
But how do we know this?
Because of statues. Because
Let's
of
talk about
They
history.
took the natural. Wait. So what I'm saying is,
Let's bring it back to right now and what's going on for
well,
the
for Africa.
Let's talk about for the simple fact that right now with the shit that we're dealing with in DC, my place.
What DC is white people.
Anyway,
They wouldn't bring that. They wouldn't bring that to Georgia though.
For one, what a lot of people don't know about Africa.
When I first came back in here, after you guys already shot, a couple of conversations that we were having, T, you were there and everything, is how optimistic are we that Black people can actually overcome this situation and everything that's happening? How can we take back what's really? It's not like this place is ours. It's not like an ours. This is not our place. Yeah, it's no one's place. But how do we let people or white supremacy and everybody realize that we're just as human as you are? And how we
you know what?
No,
it starts within the Black people. You can't convince white people that of our values. Other Black people don't know.
I'm gonna start off with a verse from the Bible. It says, "My people are destroyed due to the lack of knowledge."
Yes, that's it.
So what people don't understand. From Africa, if you start off at the tip of West Africa and you take there are rivers in the ocean, right? There are natural trade winds. So they took natural trade winds. They just got on the boat and took natural trade winds and went straight into America. So that's how they went and did it. And even in the people who were in Israel, they fled into West Africa because the Israelites went into West Africa for the most part. So my generation of people, because me growing up in the South as a light-skinned person, I was always given this multiracial. Oh, you're
what you mix with?
I'm not what you mix.
You can't
with.
just be Black.
Nobody. Before they asked me my name, before they asked me my name, they said what you mix with.
No, but what are you?
When not knowing, I grew up with my parents making me wear kufus. We had African drums in our household. We had nothing but African art in our household. And my grandfather is as dark and brown as all of y'all. My father's father. He married a light-skinned mixed woman, but she still was more Black than white. She didn't consider herself white. So when people say, "Oh, you mix," or I feel like offended, and I'm having identity crisis right now.
Now I want my man to speak. He ain't said one word, and you haven't.
Yeah, I was about to say.
At the end of the day,
them too.
Nina.
But at the end of the day, what a lot of Black people are they do not learn their history. It took me years of unlearning the indoctrination that I learned through the American educational system, because all I was learning about my people is that we was ignorant, we was slaves, we was savages.
No.
But when I went and only learned strictly through people of color, I learned that we were kings, queens. We created most of the inventions that really changed and revolutionized the world. So I'm not sitting here. To me, I could give a fuck about America.
And make sure your doctors are black.
Because they call us African American. But what I tell people, and I'm about this to the day, for one, there's no fucking place that exists that's called Africa America.
Exactly.
There's no place. You can't go on a map. You can't look nowhere and find it. You were stolen, or you could go ahead and just say that us as Africans, or me, I think biblical. God, I know that the Israelites, who are the real chosen people of God, the first people that God, a multi-dimensional being, came down and chose these people to have the laws to rule the world. Wait, but those people, because Israel is not the Middle East. That's a geopolitical term that was created. Israel is Northeast Africa. The Israelites are Afro-Asiatic people. We the people who are between Africa and Asia. That's all it is. That's all it is. But y'all let the white man, and all he does is steal all of our narratives. He has the narrative.
I'm telling you, I can't wait to see the